Hey, this is Nafka at Fate 212, and I'm here with Dave. He's the creator of Dropzone Commander. We're at Valhalla, and we're going to be talking about his game, and it is quite something else. And we're going to do a quick spread here, and we've got we got all the factions here, and we've got some new releases that are coming out. And so, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about the game?
Okay, Dropzone Commander is a 10mm scale sci-fi mass battles game designed for pretty large games and generally in an urban setting. It's very highly tactical, quite fast, quite easy to learn. Usually games go on for about an hour and a half for a normal 1500 point game, which is about the standard tournament size game or so. We have a scenery line. We have the new card scenery that's just come out. These models here, they're not all the models for each faction, they're just a few. I brought some of the studio models with me from the UK for people to have a look at.
Right, and you did say every model that is in the rulebook, they're already ready for
yeah, they're
people
already
to get.
available. Yeah, we actually launched the complete game from day one, so we had about 54 kits on launch day.
And each faction has really a large range of tactical options for new players.
Yeah, list building and tactics and how you build your army is crucial in Dropzone, and generally a mixed list will be the best list. You can't usually stack your list with one particular unit and then hope to win, because you won't. You need a bit of anti-air, you need fighters, you need some infantry, you need some anti-tank, you need all sorts of different things.
So fail to the spam list.
yeah. The spam list doesn't really come into it.
Yes, and I demoed this game yesterday, and of course, my first thoughts were, hey, how many of these can I get into a list?
Certain units do that. I mean, there's certain ones like the UCM Wolverines are very popular, the little scout vehicles. They're only tiny, but people have run lists with a lot of those. We had to actually change the points for those slightly because they were a little bit too good when spammed in numbers.
Let's talk about the models just real quick, because I noticed that these models, at the scale, they have an incredible amount of detail.
Yeah, they're done with a new. I designed and sculpted all the models. The vehicles are all done on computer and using a new state-of-the-art rapid prototyping technique, which is very, very high-end. You'll notice that all the curves and everything are all smooth. You don't get any stepping or anything like older tech rapid prototyping. They're all resin cast in a new, very tough resin. The resin it's very easy to work with. You can pick it up and you can throw it against the wall. You could kick it. You could. Whatever it's.
But we still don't want to, though, right?
You don't want to.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't recommend doing that to your models. But it's good resin and it's very solid, very easy to work with. It also doesn't need any washing before you paint it.
Okay.
You just have to prime it with a decent primer spray. We use Army Painter or Tamiya. That stuff works really well.
And even at this scale, one of the things I first noticed was a lot of these parts move.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Let's take a look at some.
Yeah, we'll go say UCM here. So in Dropzone, obviously dropships are really important to how the game plays, and a lot of the time you'll start the game with a completely empty board. But the dropships, all the ground units will actually physically fit in the dropships. It's not necessary for game turns. You don't have to do that, but the fact that they will physically go, because it's all true scale. So say 2 of these will go underneath one of those, or 3 of these, depending on whether you stick on 2 little grabbers or 3 little grabbers. 9 tanks will go underneath this one. Some of them need magnetising. It's not really designed for you to do it mid-game. It's more for hobby purposes.
But as far as quality, though, as far as quality goes, the models actually fit onto the
they fit and finish. And you've got a lot of posable parts, like say the standard UCM Sabre tank. You've got the hull, which is one piece. Then you've got a ball joint in here. Then you've got an armature, which will bend that way. And then you've got another hinge joint here where the gun can stay level, so it goes up like this kind of thing.
And even with all that detail, the models are really well made, and they don't. And I just noticed that they don't seem very fragile.
No, they're not. I mean, even
with
some
small ball joints. And
yeah, because it's a very tough resin. So once you put them together, the stuff loves super glue as well. Once it's been super glued, it will not come apart again. Something to bear in mind when you build your models. Be careful. Shall I do a brief spiel on the factions?
Let's go over the factions.
We'll go around.
What about the bit of the background? What kind of a game is this?
Okay, is the game or the fluff? Should I do the fluff?
Just a brief.
A brief synopsis. Basically, you've got humanity has been recently invaded by the Scourge. Well, not recently. The humanity was invaded 200 years before the game is set by the Scourge, the bad guys. The Scourge take all of humanity's best planets. So Earth is taken, all of the Cradle worlds, all of humanity's best, most verdant planets are all lost to the Scourge. Basically, all the refugees flee. The Splinter Group goes off and disappears with an alien AI, which advises them to run away before this invasion happens.
Right.
The rest of humanity that gets its butt kicked in the invasion runs to all the frontier worlds, all the mining planets, the penal colonies, that kind of thing.
And not the best of the worlds.
Not
they,
the best
they get the
planets
worst.
at all, no, but they do have a lot of resources. They've got rich mineral deposits and things, tough planets to live on, not nice paradises like the ones they lost, but still very utilitarian. So fast forward 200 years.
200 years.
The UCM have United Colonies of Mankind.
Let's take a look at
these guys here. They've built up beyond all recognition. 200 years. I mean, imagine how Europe managed to rebuild very quickly between two world wars. But imagine if you had 200 years to build up after an invasion.
So humanity has become a massive military construct.
Very military construct, but they're still democratic, but the military has basically an overriding say in what goes on. But because they're under such threat from the Scourge, it actually makes sense, and it's not a kind of totalitarian military dictatorship. Everyone's quite happy with things because it's how it has to be. So basically the background of the book starts on the eve of a massive invasion, with the UCM recapturing their way back towards Earth, one planet at a time. So for a change, humanity's actually on the offensive. So then you've got the PHR, these guys.
And
These
PHR stands for?
Post-Human Republic.
Okay.
The PHR are the descendants of the humans who left just before the invasion under the old advice of an AI, which lands on Earth.
And if I remember correctly, because I did read somewhat through it was just a sphere, little sphere that
little
said,
sphere.
hey.
It's basically the white sphere. It's a ball. It's about the size of a tennis ball, and it weighs. It takes like 4 people to lift it. So it's a very alien, very eldritch piece of technology. But over 200 years, it's given the post-humans a lot of advice and technology. So they've appeared on the eve of the invasion to advise the UCM not to invade, because they say they're not ready. The UCM have told them to stuff it, and they're going to do it anyway, because the UCM regard the PHR as traitors and turncoats and cowards. PHR regard the UCM as a bit sort of misguided and a bit simple.
And there was a brief civil war.
Yeah,
some of the people as they were leaving.
Very brief civil war as they were leaving, because they took a lot of ships with them. So a lot of military assets were lost. A lot of people died. So there's a lot of hate there. Especially the UCM hate the PHR. The PHR don't really hate the UCM as such, but
There's still conflict.
yeah, there's conflict.
Right.
Yeah, the PHR have shadowy motives, and of all 4 factions, you know the least about the PHR. They're recently returned and still very mysterious.
Okay.
So the Scourge, these
The
guys
Scourge.
here, and the Scourge are the Scourge are basically they're neuroparasites. A physical Scourge is like a little wispy, sort of pathetic jellyfish-like creature.
Okay.
But they take biological hosts and basically bend the host to their will. But it's a horrible existence for whoever's captured by one. So what happens if you become a Scourge host is the Scourge take control of your body and can do what it wants to you, but your consciousness remains. After 200 years or so,
They are the bad guys, and they have taken Earth.
Oh yeah, they've taken Earth, yeah. And the Scourge warriors, these guys are descendants of the humans who were originally captured. The Scourge will extend the lifespan of the captured host for a little while, not indefinitely, because eventually the Scourge will die itself. As the Scourge gets old and starts to die, the racked consciousness of the individual starts to come through, because they've been there the whole time for 200 years, and now they've gone crazy. So Scourge warriors are quite unhinged sometimes, but they're very, very fast, very aggressive, very powerful weapons.
So then what are these?
These are the razor worms. These are another species that the Scourge have absorbed over the years. The previous species they came across, which they wiped out, as they do with most species, but they're so vicious and powerful that they actually train them as hosts, or grow them and vat grow them as hosts and infect them at a young age. The Scourge do that with a lot of other races as well, so as the background expands, there'll be more and more different alien races that the Scourge have taken over the course of their horrible existence.
Right. Are there more of them I've only seen the models, and I haven't gone through all the unit types.
Yeah.
Are there even more than that in the book
Yeah,
right
well,
now? Currently?
there's only the 2 in the book, but
Okay.
we've recently released a new one, which we'll get
Which
to
we'll get to in a minute. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So there's.
I'm jumping ahead.
But yeah, but
Again.
there's more. So you've also got the 4th faction, the Shaltari.
Okay, let's talk about these.
The Shaltari are highly advanced aliens. They're very tribal, very aggressive potentially. They're quite mixed in terms of how they behave. The Shaltari are in it for themselves very much. They're not immortal. A Shaltari will only live for a few hundred years naturally, but what they do is they've learned how to transfer their consciousness through technology into a new cloned body. So
Okay.
effectively they can live forever through tech, basically. They're highly advanced. All the other races use dropships to get about, but the Shaltari use teleport gates. So normally you have to fly your stuff in, but you can imagine this is one of the big ones. That's the Gaia, that's the heavy gate. The Gaia, say if you had 2 gates, one at opposite ends of the table, in one move you can move your stuff into one gate and out of the other.
So each of these factions plays tremendously different.
Oh yeah,
from
they're all
each other.
very different. Yeah, the PHR are very slow, very tough, very elite, very good weapons, but they are very slow. The UCM are good all-rounders. They have good fighters. The Shaltari are tricksy, pretty much. Probably the hardest army to win with, but potentially the most powerful if you use them right. And the
Okay.
Scourge are very fast, very aggressive, glass hammery kind of army.
Now, I know that you're talking about the game, but you are not only the writer for the book and the game in the background, you also created the models, the game mechanics.
Yeah, and I painted all the models in the rulebook and did all the photography, and it was 3 years' work to put all this together. A bit more than 3 years' work. And 3 years of not much sleep and a kind of obsessional lifestyle, but
Yeah, and we can really appreciate that. I've played the game. The rules are very intuitive, and that is one of the things I like most about it. But the tactics and the strategy seem very very complex. That when the game gets moving.
yeah, there's a lot of different things going on. You have to positioning is very key. You know, you put your stuff in the wrong place, and the game will punish you very badly for doing so.
And before we get done, before we finish, we're going to look at a battlefield real quick.
Oh yeah.
Because we didn't put one over here.
We'll look at the cityscape.
But let's go look at the cityscape,
We'll do,
the boxes here.
Yeah, so these have been in my airline case, so they've been a little bit battered, but they'll be okay on video. So the new Cityscape box, this gets you a complete 6x4 board, basically everything you need to play
Fantastic.
a game, and it basically consists of 24 of these ground tiles. They're double-sided,
Oh, wow.
with different designs on them.
I'm glad we're doing the video because I did not know that.
So essentially, you get 24 of these. There's various different designs. So
Wow.
there's thousands of combinations for your board.
Okay.
You can just lay them out, or you can stick them down, or do what you want to do to them. They're very hard wearing prints, so they last quite well.
Okay.
You also get 20 buildings. And the 20 buildings are all different.
Okay.
Every building's different. Some of them are the same size, but they're all different designs.
Right.
The buildings are all pre-cut and pre-folded and pre-glued on the seam. So to build your building, all you do is you just pop it open, like that. Then you just fold down these little cornice parts on here. There's a little lip on the roof, it's not just a box. You fold these down, then you fold your roof tile down, like that. Then you reverse fold this bit here, like that. Fold this in.
So you can basically get this. You can get this cityscape, and have your starter models and maybe a couple of others, and really be into the game in no time.
Oh yeah, you can build it. There you go. There's a ready-made building.
That's
good
fantastic.
Good solid cardstock, hard wearing.
Okay.
You get different sizes. These little ones. We'll go over to here's one I made earlier, kind of thing.
Okay, let's go look at one
the
because I've been on this table.
we've got here at Valhalla. I've been running demo games the whole time. So this isn't the whole set. This is just a 4x4. So you get more than this in the box, but this is just like some of it. But it gives you an idea of what it looks. You've got parks, you've got tunnels, you've got crossroads, all these different buildings. We've got suites on the roof for objectives here.
Yeah, we've been using starbursts, and we've actually been missing a couple of objectives as I think a couple people have eaten them.
Yeah. Yeah, so that gives you an idea of what a typical battlefield looks like. There are rules for woods and contours, cliffs, all sorts of other things apart from just urban scenery, but the game is very heavily focused around buildings. You can get your infantry into buildings, you can fire from buildings, you can destroy buildings. A lot of objectives are in buildings, and only infantry can get in and find them. So.
And you were saying that you did have a game, just a demo game you did, and you actually destroyed a building with an objective in it.
Yes, yeah.
So,
that was. I played one of the BTP guys. It was a bit unfair, really. He deployed slightly unwisely, and I'd put all my Scourge very close in, swept in and demolished the building with all his men inside and the objective, and it was game very quickly. But
once your guys are inside and the building's coming down, you're pretty much out of luck.
Yeah, I mean, to destroy a building in Dropzone, you have to really mean it. They've got a lot of damage points. You have to focus a lot of firepower onto the building. If he deployed differently, I wouldn't have had the luxury of doing that. But that was normally Dropzone is usually a standard 6-turn game length. And a lot of the time it goes to a real nail-biter right for the last turn. I think your game was like that when you played.
Yeah, it went to the very last round, and it was close all the way through.
Yeah.
So, and I got lucky and pulled it out.
That's with just the starter armies. The starter armies, they're not really a starter set, they're more of a starter army. You get quite a lot of models in the box.
So, do we have an idea of what is in a starter?
Yeah, we've got these here.
Is this a full starter set?
Yeah, this is a full starter set. So, you've got, and I'll get the dice out of the way. So you've got 3 Condor medium dropships, you've got 3 Rapier anti-air tanks, 3 Sabre tanks, 2 Bear APCs, 6 bases of infantry, and the command card deck.
Okay.
These are in sleeves at the moment just because we use these a lot, but you get it's a 40 card command
and
card
that's what you get for a starter set, because that's very playable.
Yeah, this will yield at least an hour of gameplay. It's not like just to give you a feel of the game, it's actually a proper army. Because in Dropzone you have to have a little piece of each element before it really works. You can't, without anti-air you're scuppered, without tanks you're not going to kill anything, without infantry you're not going to find any objectives, and without dropships you won't get there fast enough.
Okay.
So you need a bit of everything in the box.
And then we have over here, this is the other...
The Scourge, we've got the Scourge. There's a starter set for all 4 races, but we've just got the 2 here for demoing.
And of course we were not prepared to come over here. So
we've got Oreos and stuff in the way, but
this is Valhalla after all.
There's a constant stream of food going on here, but this one's missing a flying base because I've stolen it for the studio models right there.
And these models right here, let's look at these. These actually slide into these.
Yeah. So the Scourge, like I said, everything fits inside dropships. With the UCM, you can magnetize them and things. The PHR is very easy. The Scourge, you don't even need to do that because they just sit in.
So if you look at that ship and the detail within that, it's really... There you go.
And then you can reconfigure it slightly differently to have 2 ledges to hold 2 APCs, and they go in as well.
Okay. Now, I know that for a lot of people starting a new game, it has to be semi-affordable. And when you're looking at other games, especially like Warhammer, that's a huge investment.
Yeah.
Down the road, especially. So what are we looking at for like a starter set for someone?
Well, a starter set, one of these starter sets is just under $100.
Okay.
The RRP, you get it for a little cheaper from web retailers and stores and things like that.
So $100, and you have an army to play.
You have an army to play.
So that's
with.
fantastic.
And the rulebook is only $25 as well.
Right, which is a
and
bargain.
The Cityscape box, the scenery box we were just showing off, that's just $45 for a whole 6x4 table.
Right, and that's for a whole board.
A whole 6x4 board, all the scenery you never need to play. Yep. If you don't want to go any further than the card, it looks really nice, and that's a very cheap scenery set. So you don't need to worry that you don't have scenery because
you have all of it for $45.
$45, and
you can't even get a table for $45 in any sort of other game system.
No, that's just done. No, we've priced it very keenly to make it a lot easier to get into the game, which is what we want. After all, we need more players. Everybody needs more players.
Everybody needs more players because and I do think that the game is very affordable. And this is approximately a 750 point.
About 700 or so, depending on how highly pointed your commander is. The standard tournament list is about 1,500 points.
About 1,500 points.
The sweet spot for the game is 1,500 to 2,500 or so ish. That's a normal sized game.
And of course, some of the more fanatical people that have joined the game already are up to how many points?
Oh yeah. The biggest game I've heard of is a 10,000 pointer so far, and it does work for 10,000 points. Personally, I've never played a game that big, but I know it works.
Okay. Let's show the rulebook just really quick because it looks like we have demands on everybody.
Well, I'm just wondering, I can pick you up something if you want to continue this.
Oh,
do you want to do it that way? Just anywhere?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
some lagery stuff.
This is Valhalla after all, so we have a lot going on.
Thanks, Sharon.
We have a lot going on everywhere, so it is. We are constantly busy. Now the rule book that he was mentioning is $25.
Is this?
And-
Should we go close to the window? We've got
Let's
a
go
bit
so we
more-
can see
bit
the
more light
pictures.
over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good there. Yeah, so
we're getting a bad glare.
we go this way round.
There we go.
There we
Perfect.
go, that's better. So, that's the rulebook, it's A4, full colour all the way through. You've
And
got,
show a couple of the pictures anyway, because I was impressed
yeah.
with. And I know that you did the photography.
so in here we've got, I'll find some of the nice full pages there around the, there's a lot of full page photos, a lot of big images like that snow scene there, and that's the UCM going through it.
Yeah.
That's some of our resin scenery on there.
And so you have resin scenery now, and there might be stuff coming out in the future.
Yes, yeah. We've always said we're going to do 3 tiers of scenery. We've got the free downloads as well on the website, so you can just download downloadable versions of the card ones for free and print them off at home. It is definitely cheaper to buy them
Yes.
now than
Yeah.
it is to once you've paid for card and ink and all the rest of it, and the time it would take to cut them all out. You're a lot better off buying the new stuff.
Right.
But they will still always be on the site
Uh-huh.
if you just want to give it a go with paper or something like that.
Right.
Then you got these, which is tier 1, and then you got the resin, which is tier 3, the top end.
Uh-huh.
It's all actually modular and tile based. So I find there's a nice one with the Shaltari, I think. That's
And
got.
this is already made, but it's not. Is it not in production yet?
It's in production and on sale.
It's on sale. All
yeah,
of it
yeah.
is, even the big.
Yeah.
Wow,
The
okay.
resin scenery line is direct only from
Okay.
our site because it costs us a hell of a lot to make.
And there
we
there
can't-
will be links on this video to all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
The resin buildings are actually made up of little tiles. So you see, you've got like say 4 lobby sections there, and then different parts. So you can build buildings in any shape and any combination you like.
wow.
What you can also do, which is they're very expensive. They're not cheap. I'm
Right.
not going to lie to you. They're expensive buildings. But
Okay.
what you can do though is you can say cut the lobby off the card ones
Uh-huh.
because all the dimensions match perfectly. So you can just glue resin lobbies onto card buildings.
And they're all interchangeable.
They're all interchangeable. You can get resin air conditioning units for the roof, which really lifts the card ones. They've got them printed on them, but just a bit of 3D up there is nice, and they're very affordable
Okay.
to buy. They're just £5 a pack, which gets you like 30 or 40 air conditioning parts, and you can
Right.
just stick them on the roof, and that really improves the look of things. So you can, and the middle tier will be something in between.
Right.
And that'll be a retail product for stores, but
And you
that's-
have not done
that's-
that one yet?
No, that's a way off yet. That's going to take a lot of investment on our
You
part.
guys have a
but
lot of work going on.
We've got
right
a
now.
lot. We've got a big long list of stuff that
And
we're working on.
And so I know that speaking of work going on, we do have some models yet that are brand new.
Yeah, we've got some brand new stuff here.
Okay.
Some of them, some of the new miniatures for the factions came out at the end of March.
Okay.
So they're still very new. We've got things like, I'll start folding this. We've got this, the Ferrum class drone base for the UCM. This thing doesn't look like much like this.
Uh-huh.
It fits like everything.
It still has a ton of detail though.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of detail. These are magnetised on, so they just move. But this will fit underneath the Albatross.
So the Albatross can
The
actually carry
Albatross
that
will
in.
hold one of these things.
Wow.
But when it lands, it comes down. This comes up. Turret comes out of the deck. And there you've got a drone base, which is basically a small aircraft carrier. Almost. And it even comes with a lift, which you can glue in raised or lowered,
Uh-huh.
with one drone with the wings folded.
Is that the drone right in there?
That's with the wings folded, yeah.
Okay.
Just for the look of the thing.
Uh-huh.
But it also comes with 8 drones and flying bases. These little Strasbrite drones are pretty fun little units. They work as a team. The more of them that attack, the better.
And 8 of them fit inside that carrier.
Yeah. And
Inside that carrier.
if you kill them, then the drone base will just respawn more of them.
So that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're very easy to kill. But it will just almost think of them as weapons for the drone base. They just will spam them forever. So you have to strike at the base itself to deal with them. But it's
Right.
a very expensive unit in points cost.
Yes.
So, you never get a free lunch. There's always a downside for anything.
Of
The
course.
UCM also have the sniper team as well.
Little sniper teams.
Snipers with little digital ghillies, which project distortion matrices over the windows when they're in a building. So they make them a lot harder to shoot at. But they're great at killing infantry. They can also shoot aircraft as well. They can put a round through the canopy of a slow-moving aircraft like a dropship or a gunship.
Okay.
So they're good multi-purpose. PHR have got the new Type 3 walkers, the Apollos, these ones here. The Apollos have got jump jets. They're not quite as well armed and not as well armoured as their equivalent, the other mech types, but they are a lot faster. So
And-
they're good flanking units.
So these ones actually do get to. I know the other ones do not move very fast. So tactically, these ones are the ones who are.
Yeah. These are good flankers. These are good harassing units to kill things like the drone base and other things around the back.
Yep.
We've also got the Erebus, which is the other Type 3 variant.
Okay.
The Erebus has got an EM field disruption generator, which is a very annoying piece of tech, which basically destroys and ruins the optics of nearby enemy units. So they all suffer to hit modifiers when they shoot any of your stuff. Not just these guys, anything on the board. But only when they get close. They're almost suicide units because you plonk them right in the middle of an enemy tank formation and you're going to really, really mess them up for a while. So it's another good flanker and another annoyance unit.
Yeah.
Which the PHR
They add
lacks before.
tactics. They add tactics.
They
to the
add
camp.
tactics, yeah, as opposed to being now these are all rubbish and you have to take them out of your list and replace them with these. You know, they're
Right.
another tactical option that you might want to choose to use depending on how you wanted to play.
Okay.
And then you've got the Shaltari. They've got the Fire Drake, which is beast of a model, the Fire Drake.
It is. It's actually pretty. It's really incredible. We're getting to see some of that detail.
The Fire Drake is a gunship primarily. It's got the disruption cannon on the nose. I've magnetised the head on.
Yeah,
And this thing basically has a blast marker, but the closer it gets to the enemy, the bigger the blast marker gets.
Oh.
And
Okay.
also on the tail, there's a twin microwave cannon for infantry cooking.
Yeah,
But it's also got a teleport gate built into the middle. So
Okay.
it's like got an auxiliary transport capability, so it can bring down its own ground support and things, which is quite useful.
right. Okay.
A lot of points, very scary.
A lot of points. A lot of points. I
Very
hope.
scary.
That sounds very
Yeah.
scary.
You've also got the Dream Snare, which is one of the War Strider variants. Chaltari War Striders are one of their tougher units. But the Dream Snare has two of those twin microwave cannons, which makes it extremely effective against infantry. But they can also focus fire to melt tanks as well, up close. But its main purpose is this thing along the spine, which is the shield booster, which basically Chaltari are the only race really that use passive countermeasures, which is an all-encompassing energy shield,
Okay.
which basically gives you an invulnerable save effectively against anything. This will boost that save by +1. They don't stack though, so taking like 3 of them in your list won't help. Just one of them is good.
So once again, we get rid of
Yeah.
the spam.
Yeah, you get rid of the spam. They're quite cheap in points as well, so these are a very good choice for a Shaltari list to have at least 1 or possibly 2 of these in.
I
Of
did
course-
get in. I did get real close to it too because there's a lot of real minute detail on these models that it's really hard to see if I'm back away. I got in there real close so I could see that.
Yeah, they're very fine detail. It's about as fine a detail as you can get without going stupid, because if you go much further than this, then the first layer of paint will just wipe out the detail. So these hold detail very nicely when painted. They're actually quite easy to paint because you can just use inks and dry brushing and techniques like that to get an army painted really fast.
And that helps for someone like me.
Yeah, which brings a bit of ink is. I mean, recently in the last couple of years, inks have come on a long way, and inks are a lot better than they used to be, and that really helps paint 10mm figures. But the Scourge, they've got the Destroyers. The Destroyers are another one of those hosts I was talking about earlier. To give you an idea of how big these guys are, there's some ordinary UCM snipers to put next to them. So these guys are big. They're basically brutish creatures, really tough, really hard to kill.
Yeah.
They've got 2 big guns that they carry around, very shooty. They can also literally blast their way into buildings if there aren't entrances. They can just shoot a hole in the wall and kick their way in. In combat, they're pretty scary. They're not quite as scary as Special Forces, but they are very scary. Very hard to kill. They're useful objective capturers and holders, and they can be shooting at stuff while they do it, so they're a nice multi-purpose unit. But you've also got the Annihilator, which is, I'll move it over here so that's the monorail doesn't get in the way. And the Annihilator is a massive artillery piece, really huge. I'll put a tank next to it to give you an idea, and a Wolverine, which is about the same size as a Humvee, roughly.
And then throw an infantry over there.
Yeah, let's get some men in. Go to ground level to give you an idea of the height.
See if we can get up there and see that full height. Oh, yeah, almost. Back up.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. It's a beast.
It is.
So it has the massive plasma bombard, which runs the whole length of its spine. This thing uses an Energy 11 large blast marker, so something like this, which in Dropzone is a very large blast template.
Yes, I did not see any of those in my game.
Yeah, it's very inflexible in how you use it. You know, it's a one-trick pony. It's a big artillery piece. Again, a lot of points. But the other beauty of this thing is it can fly. It can only shoot when it's on the ground, but it can also take off and transition to an aircraft.
And then once again, we have parts that move. We can actually do
Yeah.
during the game. That's nice.
And there's the flying base connector on there.
So there's a flying base connection in, and so you just put it on that, then it can land.
And then it
in
can
the
land,
game,
then it
and
can
you
come down
move
and
it.
land,
Yeah.
and then it can shoot when
Yeah,
it's
that's
landed.
really cool. I really like that model.
We have a nice little gizmo that we have on all our flying bases. We just call it the Hawk widget. It's just a little piece of plastic, quite innocuous, but you basically pop on the flying base onto it, and then you can just
I didn't see that. There you go.
then you just shake the model. It won't come off.
And it's not coming off.
It's not coming off. And then I've played a lot of Battlefleet Gothic over the years, and I hate broken flying bases. But when you're done, you can just pop it off the base, put the flying base away, put the model away.
And then
in
they
the case.
travel really well.
Yeah, and this is tough resin, as I say, so you can drop it. You don't have to treat it with a lot of respect. It won't break.
That is really nice.
It will break eventually if you go silly, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
No,
let's not throw it against walls.
it makes
like we were talking.
transporting models quite easy. We have a full range of KR custom cut cases as well
That fit everything.
that fit everything. They're all available now from KR Direct or
And
along with
KR
Army
it
Deals.
does your cases and your phones.
Yeah, they do our cases and phones. We have a range of bags as well, all branded and everything.
Branded with the Dropzone
Yeah, Dropzone
Commander.
Commander, sewn patches and everything,
That is nice.
and aluminium cases too with Dropzone and Dropzone labels and everything as well. So the last thing we've got here is the brand new Monorail set.
Now
which,
this has been released where yet?
This is nowhere. We haven't even got studio photography of this yet. We ran a big show in the UK, Salute, last weekend, and that show we got resin for this kit the day before the show. So this was literally hastily assembled just in time to get it on display. Since then, I was only around for 4 days before coming here, so no one's really seen this yet. This is completely fresh.
So if you are already a big fan, which you probably should be, this is something that very few people have seen.
And the Monorail set, this is you wouldn't normally have these supports quite so close to each other.
Okay.
In the box, you're going to get 7 of these supports.
So 7 of them,
Each support comes with a steel plate washer, 5mm thick, really heavy.
so that nothing's going to fall.
Yeah, so basically it's designed so you don't have to stick the thing to your table. At the end of the game, you can pack it up.
Right.
But it also comes with a flexible plastic track,
Okay.
which is it's just a smooth band of plastic, but you can roll it up at the end of the game and put it away. It's rolled in the package, so you can get it, and it means we don't put 7 feet of resin track in the box. You get 7 feet of this, so
Right.
it'll go all the way across a 6x4 board with a bit of wobble,
Right.
and then you get the engine itself with 3 carriages.
Now, what exactly is this used for?
Well, this is coming with 2 new scenarios. It's basically a scenario pack.
Okay.
Dropzone is very heavily scenario weighted, so you always need to be playing with a scenario. There is actually 12 scenarios plus a variant for each in the rulebook. So you've already got 24 to play with, but this brings a new Monorail scenarios in.
So this is very cinematic as far as
Oh, yeah.
how this will travel across the field. I didn't quite get the scenarios that you were talking
Yeah,
about.
so say imagine this thing across a 6x4 board, this will move a foot per turn.
So it'll
it'll
move
work
12
its-
inches per turn.
Yeah, so it'll work its way across the board, and it will have an objective on board. So you have to fly your dropships in, land them on the roof, possibly, fast rope in, get your guys inside the train, capture an objective in the train and get it off.
Wow.
We're still playtesting the missions at the moment, so they might
Okay.
change a bit, but the other one is going to be an attacker-defender, where the attacker needs to destroy the train and you need to keep it alive.
Like maybe a person of importance on that train, you need
Yeah.
to protect it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or destroy it.
Yeah, exactly. So
So-
it's very cinematic. If you've seen Firefly, the train job, that'll give you a good idea of what we're aiming for with this. Generally, Dropzone, the feel of Dropzone is Battle of Mogadishu done right.
Yeah.
So that whole four different little birds coming in, dropping off special forces on roofs, and ground support coming in from somewhere else, all very dynamic and very tactical. That's the feel we go for with the game.
Now I know we've covered a lot here, but there's one thing that I was curious about, because I haven't heard much about it either yet, because it's not in the starter sets. Flyers and interceptors. It's a whole new level, and I understand it to be very much more realistic, say, than flyers in like Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, flyers. I might show you on the board very
Okay,
briefly.
because I know that they zoom across this board so fast.
So say normally in Dropzone,
Let's get over.
your dropships, which are slow flyers,
Uh-huh.
they loiter like helicopters. They stay on the board.
Okay.
So say a dropship would move 24 inches at full move, the Scourge one, because they're very fast, they're the fastest dropships, or 12 inches at half move to deploy tanks out.
Okay.
And that would be on the board. Next turn, it would move to somewhere else and shoot at things.
Right.
Fighters, on the other hand.
So fighters, these are aircraft that are flying above the city.
Yeah, they're called fast movers. So here you've got a UCM Archangel, which is this isn't one of the studio worthy painted this one.
Okay.
So this thing comes in. Fighters, you call an attack run or an intercept.
Okay.
So say we've got let's say this tank here is a crucial target.
We
for
need
one
a
reason
target
or
on the
another.
board. So there
So
it is.
your tank is a crucial target, and you want that destroyed for one reason or another.
Okay.
So you call an intercept. You have to roll to see whether you can turn up, because you can't. In war, you can never really rely on air support all the time. It might be late, it might not be in position yet. So
Right.
you have to see whether you turn up. So presume you turn up. You place your fighter on the board,
There it is.
anywhere on the board from any board edge, unless
Right.
there are restrictions in this scenario. But normally you can come on from anywhere.
Okay.
The fighter will then move to a firing position in a straight line. The enemy then gets a chance to shoot at you at any point along that corridor you just moved. So if there's anti-air here, then it will get to shoot reaction fire against you in your move.
Right.
Only AA can do that, nothing else can.
As long as it has not fired already.
As long as it's not fired already,
So
exactly.
there's a lot of tactics
Yeah.
involved in
You
this
can
game.
activate AA, move it, but choose not to fire it and leave it to react later if you want to.
Uh-huh.
But then you can also
Interceptors.
call an intercept as well, which is the other kind of attack. So here you've got a Scourge Corsair, another Scourge fighter. So say your Scourge Corsair calls an intercept. Slightly harder to achieve the roll. It's a 2+ for an attack run and a 3+ for an intercept.
Okay.
So you call an intercept. You can then put your interceptor anywhere on the board.
Okay.
It can then move to a firing position to engage any point along that corridor that this fighter just moved along. So it can then shoot. It all stacks. It's all basically a stack. So the most recent action is the one that takes place first. So this thing will then get to try and shoot the fighter down. If the UCM have any air support around or ground support, they might try and shoot the interceptor down before it gets there. So it's all very dynamic. It's like a mini game almost.
It is.
So say it fails to shoot down the Archangel, it misses. It will then continue off the board in a straight line, and again, anywhere along that corridor, they might get shot at by AA. Sometimes you take the risk. You intercept. You do the important thing, which is to try and stop that fighter.
Yes.
And then you accept that maybe your fighter's going to have to fly over AA on the way out.
And get shot down.
Yeah, because
on
all
the way.
fighters fly at 6 inches above the board.
Okay.
All aircraft do, or 2 inches if you choose to fly it to the deck. You might crash if you fly on the deck.
And so these aircraft, when they're flying in, they basically are just appearing for their moment in time.
Yeah.
And then they are flying past. That's how they are like supersonic jet fighters.
Because a fighter is the tank's moving at maybe 15 to 20, 30 miles an hour. A fighter's moving at 600, so
Yes.
it's gone. It's not.
It's gone.
It's not staying around.
Unlike other games,
Yeah.
we see these things zooming in and zooming out.
Yeah. So I mean, say you've now survived this far, you get to shoot at the ground target. Then you kill your ground target, maybe boom, tank's dead. Then you'll carry on flying off the board. And again, anyone who might want to shoot at you can shoot at you there as well. And there are things like infantry in buildings can use small arms, basically a collection of a bunch of guys with machine guns firing, very close range, but don't fly too close to infantry in buildings. You can't fly over the really tall buildings because they're over 6 inches
Because
tall.
you're 6 inches down. So
So you have to think about where you can do an attack run.
Right.
Flying to the deck is sometimes beneficial if you want to hide behind the lower buildings.
Right.
You might crash, but it's worth the risk most of the time. So that gives you an idea of how fighters work. Fighters
Right.
are very strategically important. You can
Right.
only take them in games over 1,000 points. Cause
right.
They tend to
So a starter size set, they would be a little bit too strong, so they are in 1,000 points and above.
Yeah. Generally, the first thing you'd buy if you bought a starter set was a proper command unit.
Uh-huh.
And to put your commander in, because your commander's more effective in a proper command unit.
And then some fighters or interceptors
And, yeah.
because that is just too cool.
And the interceptors would probably at that point push you just over 1,000 points, so you can get them in.
And that's a
Maybe-
game.
Yeah, maybe some more tanks, some more infantry, depending on how you wanted to build your list.
Right.
There's a lot of flexibility with building lists. There are a lot of restrictions though, so you can't have a whole army of fighters, for example, but
Well,
you wouldn't
Dave,
want to anyway.
I know that we came down to talk about the game, and I think we went a lot longer than we actually thought we would. But we did a very complete look at Dropzone Commander. I'm showing almost 40 minutes here.
It's a big video.
But you can see that Dave here he's very much. I mean, and I don't have the right words now because I'm very tired. I've only got 3 hours sleep. But he knows this game, and it is a wonderful game. He's enthusiastic. He's very excited about the the gaming community, and he's really put together a game that is fantastic. So, and I've played it, and I want to get another game in, and I think I'm in line. So, at Valhalla, I'm in line to get the game in.
Yeah, I've been running demos the whole time. We've played quite a lot of games.
It is.
So if I want to play some big games tomorrow.
And I definitely want to hopefully sneak in on those, so I need to like squeeze in early. Well, thanks, Dave. And hopefully we'll be doing some more videos and seeing some of that big game and some pictures. And we will keep on top of Dropzone Commander as more stuff gets released. There's an expansion. I can say there's an expansion.
Yeah,
there's an expansion coming out. Okay.
We're working on one at the moment. Well, I'm working on one at the moment. It's a way off yet, so don't expect it round the corner because it's not round the corner. But I am working on an expansion with a lot of new stuff in. And we've got years of plans for Dropzone. Each expansion will expand the storyline, add new units, possibly new races, new scenarios, all that kind of thing. A lot of new background. So yeah, I mean, I've got years of plans. So
this game is going to be here too because I've seen how it plays and I really love it. So anyway, let's get off and let people actually do something else in their life besides watch all of our videos. So thanks, Dave, for doing this for us.
Thank you.
And this is NAFCA at Fate 212, and we'll be continuing more coverage here soon.
Cheers. Thank you.